Being natural is the most beautiful way to be human. Xiefeng. April 11, 2010. The way of the greatest creator is the way of nature. When people emulate nature, follow its course, embrace it, and love it, they naturally walk in the way of the greatest creator. Anything deceitful, contrived, excessively artificial, restrictive, or that violates one's innate nature deviates from his way. Look at the natural world, it is so orderly and harmonious. Flowers bloom naturally, whether admired or not, whether growing in bustling gardens or desolate wilderness. They bloom as they are, without complaint or regret. They do not feel ashamed if no one appreciates them, nor do they resent harsh environments, poor soil, or the brilliance of other flowers. Flowers neither envy nor hate, they simply are. Flowers are Buddhas, the spirits of the greatest creator. Humans should learn from flowers and from nature. What can we learn from flowers and nature? Learn to bloom freely. Whether you are a peony or a wildflower, red or white, as long as you bloom fully in accordance with your nature, you will live without regret. That is to be a Buddha, an angel. There's no need to compare, resent, envy, or blame yourself. Learn to be unique. Every being has its own destiny and value within nature's embrace. The greatest creator has endowed each with distinct traits and a unique path. There is no need to imitate others or mimic their ways. Be true to your unique existence. Grow and fade with the flow of nature, without forcing anything. Learn to be independent. While all things in nature are interconnected, they are also independent. Unlike human society, which often emphasizes relationships, everything in nature thrives on its own vitality, nurtured by the radiance of the sun and moon and the spirit of heaven and earth. Nature's creations never expend effort to forge connections, they live simply, purely, and happily. Learn to coexist harmoniously. Grass, flowers, trees, mountains, rivers, and stars, all coexist harmoniously, regardless of their placement or the challenges they face. They do not bully or oppress one another. Each grows freely, without grievance, embracing its circumstances with joy and serenity. Learn to embrace humility. Humans often seek recognition, respect, admiration, and praise, but flowers and other creations in nature never concern themselves with how others perceive them. Even when growing alone, they thrive joyfully and contentedly. They embrace solitude and never act based on others' approval, living freely and unrestrained. Learn to be honest and transparent. While humans can be insincere, hiding their true intentions, nature is candid, sincere, and transparently honest. Its beauty is unreserved and completely genuine. Even animals, when mating, follow principles of mutual consent, never forcing their will upon others. Learn to live in the moment. Humans often dwell in anxiety about the future, burdened by worries and endless preparations. Yet most of nature's creations never concern themselves with tomorrow. They immerse themselves in the present moment, fully enjoying their time, a state of oneness with the Tao that we should aspire to. Learn to give selflessly. Look at the grass, so long as there is water and sunlight, it unfurls its green leaves, embellishing nature with its humble presence. Look at the wildflowers, they bloom beautifully, swaying gracefully, and spreading their fragrance to the world. Birds, after satisfying their hunger, do not hoard but sing and dance in the forest, composing divine symphonies. Nature's creations live without greed or complaints. They never lament misfortune, blame their destiny, or grumble about unfairness. They demand nothing from others and never curse the heavens or the earth for their plight. They give selflessly, expecting nothing in return. Such magnanimity is a lesson for us all. Humans must learn from nature. The teachings of Christ, Buddha, and celestial beings all echo this truth. Being natural is the most beautiful way to live. Deceit and pretense are truly ugly. New thinking, mutation, when you sow melons but reap beans. Xiefeng. April 20, 2010. Sow melons, reap melons, sow beans, reap beans, is a foundational principle in both Buddhist philosophy and ethical jurisprudence. The way of the greatest creator is the way of nature. From the perspective of the way of nature, it is undoubtedly true that, sow melons, sow beans, reap beans. I do not deny this fact or its logic. However, when people deviate from the way of the greatest creator, they may find themselves sowing melons but reaping beans, or sowing beans yet harvesting something else entirely. Consider this: at times, when you give your genuine feelings, do you receive insincerity in return? When you give your wholehearted love, do you encounter deceit instead? Is your goodwill sometimes misconstrued as ulterior motives by others? Loving parents have always been many throughout history, but where are the truly filial children? If spouses truly love one another, why can't their love endure forever? Why do they sometimes turn cold and indifferent to each other? When calamity strikes, why do they scatter and flee in different directions? Do these scenarios align with the principle of sow melons, sow beans, reap beans? On the way of the greatest creator, it is undoubtedly true: sow melons, sow beans, reap beans. But on paths that deviate from the way of the greatest creator, it often turns into sow melons, sow beans, reap melons. In the natural world, it is undoubtedly true: sow melons, sow beans, reap beans. However, in human society, in many cases, it becomes sow melons, sow beans, reap melons. To elaborate further, in the soil of selfishness, greed, jealousy, resentment, ignorance, deceit, and cunning, no matter what seeds are sown, they will mutate. In such soil, the result is invariably sow melons, sow beans, reap melons. Only in the soil of kindness, honesty, trustworthiness, and selflessness can the principle of sow melons, sow beans, reap beans hold true. If you wish for sow melons, sow beans, reap beans, you must walk on the way of the greatest creator. On any other path, whatever you sow will not yield what you expect. If you ever find yourself sowing melons but reaping something entirely different, understand this: the soil you are using is problematic. That soil does not belong to the way of the greatest creator. In such a case, either improve the soil or stop sowing anything in it altogether. People. If you wish for sow melons, sow beans, reap beans, if you wish for your dreams to come true and your aspirations to be fulfilled, you must walk on the way of the greatest creator. Any deviation from this way will inevitably lead to hope turning into despair and comedy transforming into tragedy.